effect. It is a stimulant. It does do things to your body. Have a nap. That may be the simplest tip. I think six cups a day.
Coffee is also a diuretic?
Yes.
Does that mean coffee is going to give me diarrhea? I think of it like a pistachio without the nut. Welcome to
Bean stuff.
Today on the episode, we are talking about coffee myths. I think there's a lot of common misconceptions. We're probably not going to dispel all of those today, but hopefully we're going to talk about some.
Just to be helpful.
And you know, hey, if we missed yours, let us know. We'd love to. If there's any myths you're curious about, let us know. So I want to jump in. The first one is that your afternoon cup of coffee, which, you know, what's funny about this? What time is it now? It is 2:29 in the afternoon.
Oh, you've got half an hour and then you will be no more coffee. At 3 o'clock, all coffee stops.
So it's the afternoon and I'm drinking a cup of coffee at the moment. So the first myth we're going to look at is that afternoon cups of coffee cause insomnia. Is it true?
Well, for lots of people, it will have an effect. Later on in the night, you may find it more difficult to sleep. And there's always a lot of reasons why we don't sleep. This is not a thing on podcast on sleeping so much, but caffeine does have an effect. It is a stimulant. It does do things to your body. But lots of people I say, but there's some, it doesn't seem to affect them at all. You and I were at a jazz concert last night. Halfway through, we had a break before we got on to Grover, Washington, and whew.
You know, this is actually a good example.
And we went downstairs and we got asked for a cortada, actually.
But what did we get?
We got a macchiato, but that's all right.
A single shot macchiato.
Yeah, it was, which is fine because actually the coffee flavor was really good.
We consumed those. They were quite small coffees, so we consumed them quickly. And I think both of us perked up and kind of were able to be more awake, obviously, than we were.
It was interesting. I found last night when I got home, I don't know what, we got home midnight, whatever after. I found it hard to get to sleep.
I did not.
Yeah. And as I say, there's many reasons why that could have been just the excitement of going to jazz with you and listening to these great musicians. Or I'm sure it did have a little effect. It was that great shot we had halfway through, and it had an impact on my sleep pattern.
So the answer is maybe.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I definitely know some people that it does and some people it doesn't. And you and I are an example of that even just last night. One of the things that's interesting about this is coffee takes about 20 minutes to enter. It takes hopefully less than 20 minutes to enter your system. Yeah. But to actually be in your body
stomach,
and released into
intestine.
Released into the bloodstream and then actually processed into the brain. There's an awesome video which we'll put a link to in the description. It's really helpful.
It really is.
But there's this 20-minute lag this 20-minute time period where nothing happens. You know, you drink a cup of coffee. So how does that relate to this, Dad?
That 20 minutes of lag, as you call it, it's a great potential to get a good sleep and wake up really awake.
Now, why is it a good opportunity to get a good sleep right after coffee? Why would I want that?
You take your shot of coffee, however you're going to take it. Black's probably preferably, smaller amount, and just take it and knowing it's going to take 20 minutes to get through the system to actually have some sort of effect on you. And during that 20 minutes, have a nap, go to sleep. Right. And basically the caffeine takes over and fits into the gaps where normally the adenosine molecule go there, make you feeling sleepy. So it gets in there. It hasn't much effect yet because it takes 20 minutes.
Right.
But in 20 minutes, suddenly it's helped you. The adenosine, the caffeine is hit and you stimulate you, and that little nap has got rid of a lot of the adenosine, what was going to make you sleepy. So you wake up really awake, ready to go, and it's quite helpful.
As you wake up, both the caffeine kicks in, and then also you had a little nap. So it's kind of a double punch there.
You're less tired. And which would go to say, find a place at lunchtime to go to sleep.
Myth number 2, you have to have boiling water to pour over coffee.
This is a simple one.
What's the answer? Is the answer yes or no?
No, you don't want boiling water on grounds of coffee.
Which is surprising. And why?
Basically, of all things, it burns the coffee. It's too hot.
I mean, I feel like I say it so often, how many chances we have to really mess up coffee. Yes. So what's the proper temperature or way to pour hot water on coffee?
The simple tip there would be when water boils, you see the bubbles, let the bubbles stop. That means it's come down to 200 or less than 100 Celsius.
So you let it come off of a rolling boil.
Yes, let it come off that, then pour it in. That may be the simplest tip for your life of coffee that you go, wow, that's made so much difference.
On to our next one. Coffee dehydrates you.
Ooh, now that's a more interesting one in terms of out there. There's myths about that.
I would like this one to be false. Because I struggle to consume water just because I don't think about it.
Yes.
But if someone offers me like a cup of coffee,
yeah.
If I make a French press or something, I'm like, sweet, I'll drink a cup of coffee. I don't often think, sweet, I'll drink a cup of water.
Basically, yes, you are. The good news is, because when you think about it, just practically a cup of coffee is typically you've got 98% of it is water. So you've got a lot of water going into your system. That's got to go somewhere.
Well, and I would put this disclaimer in here, though.
Yes.
We are talking about coffee that is a French press or something where it's coffee beans ground up in water. If you're going to Starbucks or you're going to Dutch Brothers or you're going somewhere and getting, a triple shot mocha with white chocolate and coconut milk, while the coconut milk and all those things may or may not dehydrate you, we're not saying that those kind of drinks you can do instead of water, or those are different. I would just stress that this is more or less for very straight up coffee.
Even an espresso, that's got a lot of water going through the bean through the grind as such. But
there was some research done with some amount of men. Is that correct?
I believe it was at the University of Birmingham. 50 of the men, these men who had, I think, six cups a day.
Wow.
Which actually for some is not a lot of coffee.
That seems like a bit, though.
And they checked out their hydration rates and so forth. And they found the answer was that coffee provides a similar hydration to water.
A little less appetizing, I would say, for coffee. But coffee is also a diuretic?
Correct, and that's where it gets confused.
Does that mean coffee is going to give me diarrhea?
Not necessarily diarrhea, no. Just you're going to go to the gentleman's room.
I will
exhume
some byproduct of my body.
Yes, it just means that you...
Not exhume, that would be like to dig up.
Yeah, that's right.
It will leave my body. I will not exhume it from...
You're going to go to the bathroom.
You're going to go to the toilet.
That's right. There's a translation there to those listening in New Zealand and Australia that you're going to go more often. So It does have a effect there. That doesn't mean you're dehydrated at that point.
But, I mean, you think about people that used to die way back from diarrhea, just from dehydration, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So if you're getting diarrhea from coffee, then it is dehydrating you.
Kind of. There's probably other things going in there of why that's happening, but yes.
Fair. Moving on. Coffee helps you lose weight.
Oh, this is one of my favorites.
I've heard this one. I've heard this coffee in different forms too. Green coffee.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm curious about this one. Dad, can you exhume some evidence on this and see how I'm using the word correctly?
You really like that word, don't you? Probably, I'm thinking 4 or 5 years ago, there was a real craze. It may still be out there that you take green coffee and grind it, which you're not going to do because it's so hard. It's like rocks, so you're going to ruin your grinder.
Well, and
I've tried it though. Yes.
We talked about that in an earlier episode about grinding green coffee, and it's
not a good idea.
In our white coffee episode.
That's right. But and you drink this, and it's got some the antioxidant, whatever it was, reason that you have this.
At one point, you had little pills with it in it, didn't you?
Oh well, I decided to grind my coffee beans.
Yeah.
I just took a teaspoon of it a day or whatever I did. It wasn't that very pleasant, but I thought it was going to make me lose weight. Well, great.
Going to get you shredded.
The myth here is that it probably is not going to do that.
You didn't have any noticeable changes.
You didn't notice it, did you?
I noticed you were eating green coffee.
You noticed that part, but as far as my weight, no, it didn't really have much help in that way.
This is not the Beachbody pill that you were hoping it was.
No, I'm sure there may be someone out there that has done that, and okay, well, great for you.
Well, and you know what's funny, Days? You had a very good comment on coffee.
What was that?
That coffee can give you more energy to go exercise.
That's right. I wish I hadn't said that actually, but it is.
So you've got no excuse now.
So now you're having a coffee to have a power nap, and you can wake up refreshed. And
you know
also,
what?
Yes,
you could you can kind of combine everything.
I knew you were going to go
here.
So
coffee, you have a nap.
Yes.
Drink some coffee. Mm-hmm. that hydrates you.
Yes.
And then you take your nap, you wake up, you're just
Ready
raring
to go to do those exercises.
Exactly. So in a way,
Whoa.
the myth could be true.
Well,
in a way.
In that sense. In a way. I agree with you.
Here's a pretty serious one.
What's that?
Is coffee the gateway drug?
Oh, good news there too.
Yeah?
No.
So caffeine in the coffee is not a gateway, or it's not addictive?
It's not like heroin or something like
Well,
that.
I would hope it's not like heroin.
No. But the truth about this one, coffee does stimulate the central nervous system. That is true. And you can get the slight dependency, is probably a better word than an addiction. Dependency is there because if you stop having your coffee, what happens?
Oh man, it's like having a headache all day. And
Exactly.
so in some ways it is some addictive.
Somewhat, but I call that dependent rather than addictive. I think those are one's a much more intense word. And you may get 2 days later, you're still getting 1-2 headaches, but then they disappear and voila.
And for any parents of children,
or
for any children,
yes.
or any skeptics that are a little afraid of stunting their growth,
Oh, yes.
what is coffee going to do to your body as far as growth and height?
Oh, this has been around a long
It's been
time.
a long one.
I did some research on it, couldn't even find where it had come from. Some parent decided if I said this way, they won't drink coffee. Whatever. I don't
maybe it was just trying to stop someone from drinking it.
All I would say to you, read on that one, take a look at yourself.
I'll stand up, which
Whoa, exactly. I mean,
which is hard because
do I stand next to you?
You can stand. I don't even know if we'll be in the camera.
I don't know. Yeah, there you go.
So for those of you listening, that was useless.
Yeah,
but
yeah, right.
For those of you watching, we could both be 4'4".
We could be.
And we might just
That's right. The point being is we both drank coffee when we were young. You probably drank it more when you were younger than what I did.
I was a bit born into it.
You were born into it. Yes, right. And you are so tall. So
I'm 5'10". I wouldn't say I'm excessively tall. I'm taller than you.
Yeah, perhaps it worked on me because I'm only 5'6" or something.
Maybe it skips a generation.
Yeah, perhaps it does.
Anyway, but it doesn't. It's not going to really stunt your growth at all.
There's no evidence for that one at all. So you can drink coffee when you're young. Because you got to be careful, moderation.
This is not us telling you that you can give your 1-year-old coffee.
No.
This is us telling us that if you have the misconception that it will stunt your growth, that it will not.
That's right.
That does not give you the green light to do with coffee what you will.
Exactly. No, that's true. That's true.
This is actually one that I encountered quite recently.
Oh, yes.
And I think it's something we encounter quite often in the world. I think a lot of our listeners may have experienced this or may even believe this. But what would you say to me, Dad? I just want to preface it for you that I don't believe this, but I'm gonna pretend like I do.
Thank you. Yes, I hear you.
Dad, I believe that dark coffee
Yes
has got a whole heck of a lot more caffeine than light coffee.
Whoa. And that's the simplicity of it. Is some people, and it's starting to drift away from that, but it's still out there. And
right.
There's that the darker, the burnt taste actually means it's stronger, that it's got more caffeine. That's where it sort of heads that way.
I think, in a way, it's like saying, if you're sitting around a campfire and you burn the tar out of your marshmallow.
Yes.
And then you eat it and say, well, that had more sugar in it.
Yes.
It's like, no, it just
it was a stronger marshmallow than the other one who just did it lightly.
It may have had a strong flavor of burnt.
Yeah. And that's where you got burnt, bitter, rubber, all sorts of stuff's going to start coming out. And it's very noticeable. I think as I age, if you taste... Sorry?
You're aging, huh?
Oh, very slightly.
Coffee doesn't prevent aging, I guess.
I'm having with 2 cups a day. As you get older, sometimes your taste buds do drop away. You don't, they don't just grow back as such so easily, if they do at all. So what I'm saying is that therefore you need to have a darker, more bitter coffee. You can at least taste it, whereas you can't taste burnt. You feel like you're not tasting anything, and that's
caffeine.
That's not correct. Caffeine, you don't taste caffeine in that way.
Well, and that's the thing. Dark roast. I think if your light roast coffee is lacking flavor in your cup, then there's other things at play. Like we need to look at the ratio that we're brewing at,
yes.
the different things like that make up the coffee.
Are you boiling your water? Are you letting it come off the boil? That could...
How fresh is your coffee?
Oh, there's so many things. And if you're not tasting, you're feeling you're not getting that as much taste from it, then boil the coffee away and you'll get this bitter, burnt taste again.
Well, I wouldn't suggest that.
No, sorry, I'm not suggesting that. I don't know where that came from. So.
I think that, there's a lot of other components that are potentially at play, more so than just you don't taste it.
Yes.
If you're having it in a mocha and, you're having it in a mocha. But... and I guess the caffeine content thing, we talked about this before the podcast. I think we confused each other a little bit, but
yes,
I will try my best.
Thank you.
I'm going to try and tackle this one.
Okay.
All right. So you've got a very light roasted coffee in one hand.
Yes.
In the other hand, you've got a very dark roasted coffee.
Yes. Which one has more caffeine, Reed?
Here's the thing.
Okay.
Neither.
Oh.
Even.
Oh, okay.
Exact same amount of caffeine.
Whoa.
By weight.
By weight, how many grams or ounces you're doing there?
So here's the thing.
Yes.
Think of it like as you roast coffee, it becomes, let's say you roast it really dark, it gets more burned, and we're actually making it more brittle, and we're actually burning away more of the bean.
Less dense.
I think of it like a pistachio without the nut in it. So it's just the shell.
Okay.
It's much lighter.
That's good. Yeah.
Whereas light roasted coffee, think of it as a pistachio with the nut in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's much denser.
There we go.
So
good.
My 4 pistachios in one hand weighs the same as, maybe 20 pistachios without the nuts in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes more dark roast coffee per volume. So I need a larger volume of dark roast coffee to equal the same weight as a smaller amount of light roasted coffee.
I think it's good.
And so it's not that there's a difference in caffeine. So if I have 10 grams of light roast coffee and 10 grams of, dark roast coffee, weight-wise, I have the same amount.
Correct. I think you're right. Yes.
They're going to have the exact same caffeine content. Mm-hmm. Now, if I take just a scoop of coffee.
Oh, scoop. Okay.
Whatever your scoop size is, if I scoop out some light roast,
2 tablespoons,
scoop out some dark roast, we're looking at volume at that point. So I'm looking at, just one scoop. And scoop to scoop, the light roast is going to be denser because there's more there, again, pistachios with the nuts in it.
That's good. That's a good example.
As opposed to a scoop of pistachios with no nuts, just the shell. So there's going to be more caffeine in the light roast. But when you're making coffee, you're oftentimes doing it based on weight. How many grams are we putting in of coffee, and what's that ratio? So essentially, there is no difference. They're both going to have the same amount of caffeine.
Yeah.
And the flavor is just going to be different.
And if there is any caffeine content, it's going to be so slight as it's not going to make a lot of difference to
There's other things at play, like what type of coffee is it? Is it Robusta? Is it Arabica? There's things like that are going to make much more of a difference. Are you having
instant coffee?
Exactly.
Instant Robusta, you're going to have twice as much caffeine just to start with. You don't need to weigh anything, and you've got more coffee. More caffeine, I should say.
Exactly.
A cup of coffee, Reed.
Yeah.
Will it sober you up? This is a short one. This is not a long
that's right.
one.
I forgot about this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, from all the Western films I've watched, when someone gets too much intoxicated and gets, had too much alcohol in their body,
right?
What's their first line of defense? Is
cup of coffee.
They get on the fire. Let's just put as much.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. And sure, caffeine can make an intoxicated person more alert. There's no reversal to the negative cognitive impact of alcohol. That's what the American Psychological Association has said. So, in other words, no, this is another bust this myth, because coffee is not going to stop your hangover.
And I think it's interesting because, alcohol is a downer. Like, it brings you, slows you down. It makes you more tired. Coffee is kind of an upper. And so it makes sense that it would kind of bring you up a little bit, but in no way does it reverse the effects of the impairment that alcohol has on you. So we're not saying that you should drink a bunch, go drink coffee, and then drive home. You should never think of coffee as the answer or the magic cure.
No. I believe the best thing to do is time.
Well, there you go. Those are some of the myths that we're covering today.
Yes.
Again, we know we didn't cover them all. That was we knew that going into. So if you've got myths, let us know. Email us. Paul@beanstuff.com, read@beanstuff.com. Go to the website. We want to thank you. This is our 44th episode, Dad.
Is that right?
We've been doing this for almost a year.
Whoa.
And we are very appreciative
Yeah.
We're thankful for everybody who listens, everyone who's a part of this. And thank you for, again, listening to the end of the episode, you special people.
That's right. I think I might go and have a coffee nap now.
Yeah, I might do the same.
After that long jazz night.
But thank you for listening or for watching wherever you are consuming this content. Where you are consuming it, consider subscribing. It always helps us out, and hopefully you get some updates on the podcast that you're interested in.